All right, good afternoon, fourth graders. Today we're going to talk about the earth and the sun and the seasons and why we have the seasons. So first I want to talk about earth spinning on its axis. So earth has this imaginary line that goes between the north and the south poles. And with this line, the earth spins on its axis. And every day we have the earth spins one time on its axis. So in one day, the earth has spun one time. So next I want to show you why we have day and night. So as right here, my phone is going to be the sun, and so we have the sunlight. As you can see, the sun is showing on this half of the earth and not on this half of the earth. So this half would mean that it is daytime, and on the other half it means that it's nighttime. And as the earth spins on its axis, you notice that the other half of the earth that had nighttime is now at daytime. So this is why we have day and night. And now also, so we have day and night, and then as the earth rotates every single day, the earth also revolves around the sun. So as the earth goes, and it'll go all the way around the sun as it's spinning. You can see that right there. And the reason why, as the earth moves around the sun is the reason for the seasons. So the earth's tilt around the sun is the reason for the seasons. Alright, so we talked about the earth rotating around the sun. We're going to visually show you this. We have a crumpled piece of paper in the middle as our sun, and we're going to show you how the earth rotates around the sun. So as the earth rotates around the sun, it'll hit a solstice, an equinox, another solstice, and then another equinox, and that'll be over a total of 1 year. Now, one key thing to remember is as the earth is moving around the sun, its tilt does not change, and every single day the earth is also spinning for days and nights. And more on this next.
Next, we'll be talking about the summer solstice. We're going to specify this in the northern hemisphere because that's where we live right now, and this occurs on June 21st. So in the northern hemisphere, the earth is going to be tipped mostly towards the sun. So if we use this as the sun, you might see that we are getting direct sunlight. So we're going to use these arrows as examples of the rays of the sun. So if you notice, the equator is getting most direct sunlight, and then as it reaches towards the top of the northern pole, it's not getting as direct sunlight. So in the summer solstice, because the northern hemisphere is getting the most direct sunlight compared to the southern hemisphere, this is going to be our summer, and it's going to be their winter because they're not receiving as direct rays from the sun. Next, we'll be talking about the equinoxes.
Okay, so now during Earth's trip around the sun, we are at what people in the northern hemisphere call the fall equinox. This happens on September 22nd. The fall equinox is the moment when the northern hemisphere first starts to be tipped away from the sun.
Now, during our trip around the sun, the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, so as you can see with our arrows, the smaller arrow gets more direct sunlight around the equator versus the larger arrow has less direct sunlight, has to travel all this way to get to here where we are. So the southern hemisphere is tilted more towards the sun, so they will be receiving summer while we are receiving winter. And during this time also our days will be shorter because we are tilted away, so our sun length will be smaller.
Now with our trip around the sun, we are at the March equinox, which means that the equinox is at the tipping point between the two solstices. So that means the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere are getting about the same amount of sunlight. So it will be the beginning of spring for the northern hemisphere. From this day forward, the sun will continue to climb higher in the sky in the northern hemisphere, inching towards summer, and the southern hemisphere will be inching towards winter as the sun goes lower into the sky.
Alright, so now that we have made our trip around the world, I want to talk to you about what happens to the sun in its position to us, about how high it is in the sky and how low it is in the sky during the June and December solstices. So in the December solstice, as you can see here, the sun is lower in the sky because our Earth is tilted away from the sun. And during the June solstice, in the northern hemisphere, the sun is the highest in the sky because in the northern hemisphere, we are tilted closest to the sun. Now, when I say closest and farthest, I do not mean that the Earth itself is closer or farther from the sun. I mean that the tilt of the Earth is pointed closer or farther away from the sun.